Hello and welcome back. My name is Toni and today I'm going to show you how I put together a layout using the Amy Tangerine collection, Stitched. The first thing you'll notice about this layout is that it's a little bit smaller than the traditional 12 by 12 size that you see a lot of scrapbookers using these days. I prefer to scrap an 8.5 by 11 size. And the first supplies that I pulled to create this layout include the 6 by 6 paper pad, the layered and stitched tag sets, the ephemera pack, the Oxford embroidery stencil kit, as well as a couple pieces of paper in the 12 by 12 size, and these pieces of paper are applique and meadow. You will notice that overall this layout follows a very basic grid design. There's a strip of pattern paper at the top and bottom, as well as a couple semi-box shaped objects next to each other. One of them is a photo of our turtle and it's about 4 by 4 inches. The other is a layered and stitched tag from the Amy Tangerine set. I chose to use a piece of twine with the tag to add a little bit extra texture and dimension. And I also like using the tag because it wasn't completely box shape at the top and made the layout a little bit more dynamic. The thickers in this set, the Today Foam Word thickers in the black color, were really fun to use. I love the added texture and dimension and that little pop of black. I was showing you that I also used some stitching to the top and bottom of this layout, and again, this adds texture and makes it a little bit more interesting, and I love the homemade and handcrafted look it adds to the layout. What I am doing right now, since I don't bother to do a forward and back stitch on every layout, I just whip it through the machine as quick as possible, basically. I am using a technique that I've seen Mercy Tiara, a fellow YouTuber, and probably one you've heard of before, and if not, I highly recommend her. A trick I have seen her use on her pages is that when she does stitching, she puts washi tape all over the back of it. And at first I thought, well, that's kind of crazy, but you know what? It's a really good idea because when you take them in and out of the pages over time, that stitching does loosen. And I noticed the pages that I have done that to, added the washi tape a couple years ago, that they are not becoming loose in my albums. And the ones that I haven't, the stitching did become loose when I took them out of the album. So I would highly recommend that tip. And what I was just showing you was that I did some machine stitching to the top and bottom of this layout. And I also used that Oxford embroidery kit to make 3 different heart shapes right below the photo. And what I'm doing now is I'm using the embroidery thread that comes in this kit. There's a gray, a brown, and a black color. And each one of the hearts I'm going to make a separate color. One heart will be brown, one heart will be black, and one heart will be gray. And I really like how this turned out overall. The easiest way I have found to start stitching is rather than tying a knot and having something bulky in the back of your page, I just stick the thread through starting from the back and I use a piece of washi tape to hold it. I mean, because what else are you going to use to hold thread, right? Then you just do the stitching. It's a basic back stitch and a forward and back motion. And I think doing all 3 of these took about 15 minutes, but I also stopped a couple times, once to get a drink and once to get something for my dogs. Oh, I guess a third time. And I went to get something for my kids. So had I just done it without being interrupted, I probably could have done it in like 7 minutes. And this is generally something when I do this hand stitching, which I actually really like to do. I usually do it in front of the TV, but because I was doing this for a video, I decided to let you kind of see a little bit of the process. But I did speed it up quite a bit just to cut back on the time. This layout is actually a photo that I really wanted to share and I hadn't shared yet of our turtle named Tia. She's an aquatic turtle that my husband rescued over a year ago from the side of the road on a highway near our house. He kept trying to place the turtle back to the side of the road, and despite his best efforts, she continued to run into the highway, and he knew that she was going to get run over. At that point, he brought her home, and we tried to find a turtle rescue that would take her, and none of them would. We also considered bringing her to a nature preserve near our house and letting her loose. But we found that area they had snapping turtles, and little aquatic turtles are very, very frequently meals for these snapping turtles. So at that point, we decided to keep the turtle. We have had her for almost a year and a half, and she's doing very, very well. She's grown. She's actually shed her shell once and grown about an extra 2 inches, and she's about 8 inches long now, and she's at the maximum size she'll get. And she is a European striped aquatic turtle, for those of you that were wondering. And now I'm showing you a close-up in slow motion of the hand stitching I did on this layout, and I really like how it filled in that spot, and I just love the look of the 3 hearts, and it was really, really fun using that stencil kit. Now I'm adding my journaling to the layout just to give it a finishing touch, and I really like using the precision pens and the .03 tip. They just seem to work really well with my handwriting. And the journaling says, "Every day we feel so lucky to have our sweet Tia Tuck turtle." And yes, that's her name, and the kids named her, and we call her Tia Tuck Turtle, or we just call her Tia for short sometimes. And the last couple touches I'm adding to this layout include putting a date on the layout using a date stamp, as well as adding a piece of red ephemera to the bottom left corner, and also adding some puffy stickers, enamel dots, and wood veneer. Unfortunately, the last 30 seconds of the layout cut out, so you won't be able to see that part, but there are some still photos. Thank you so much for being here today and for watching this video. I really appreciate your support. Please like this video and use the thumbs up below if you enjoy seeing videos such as these, as well as consider subscribing to my channel. Thank you.